Welcome to the Parallel World Library, where we explore strange and fascinating stories in other dimensions. Now, let's relax your body and take your mind to another world. Number 13 Mint Street by TunaV. Chapter 35 Criminal Psychology 1.
The killer did it intentionally.
Police Chief Duke questioningly assessed. In his heart, he was stirred by another term in Sylvan's words, that is, artwork. A young man uses artwork to describe this victim's corpse. Although Police Chief Duke knew that the words of this young man were only putting himself in the killer's perspective, being able to arrange language into such a specific description in such a short time made it hard for him not to feel amazed. Police Chief Duke hoped to hear this young man continue speaking. He pursued,
How did you determine that?
Clearly, this isn't a crime of passion.
Police Chief Duke nodded. A crime of passion differs from premeditated murder in that there was initially no intention to kill, but under the victim's provocation or teasing, one loses reason, loses control, and thus kills. But this corpse arranged and made up like this had long since left the category of a crime of passion. Police Chief Duke moved his pipe and continued to ask,
What are you basing your judgment on? After all, we haven't yet conducted a detailed investigation of the scene, right?
Sylvan hesitated and answered,
A feeling.
A feeling?
Yes, the feeling when looking at the corpse.
Investigating based on feelings?
Police Chief Duke raised his hand.
I want to hear more about your feelings. Can you be more specific?
The killer hid the corpse under the stage.
Police Chief Duke continued.
So the killer was very familiar with the environment of this dance hall, and in conjunction with what you said earlier, this accident wasn't an accident but was deliberately created by the killer, so the killer is either an employee of this dance hall or at least a regular customer of this dance hall. I'm sorry I interrupted you again. Please continue.
I can only go by feeling, Chief.
Sylvan explained again.
It's all right, go on.
A dance hall is an energetic place. Very crowded, boisterous, and bustling. Normally, when a killer kills someone and disposes of the body, the main purpose is to destroy the evidence. But here, it's completely different. The reason the killer placed the body here and arranged the corpse in such a complex and meticulous manner, the purpose must be that on some day in the future, which is today, to display his work. It's like a painting that, after completion, is covered by the artist with a red cloth, waiting until guests arrive, then unveiling the red cloth to reveal the work before others' eyes. Moreover, placing it under the stage, I think, has another meaning.
Another meaning?
Although it's not a crime of passion, the killer carries an extremely intense hatred.
Rest assured that after we investigate the deceased's identity, we will investigate the deceased's social network, focusing on those who had conflicts and opposition with the deceased.
No, you've misunderstood my meaning. The hatred I'm talking about is different from the concept you're understanding, Chief.
Different?
It doesn't belong within the realm of life, colleagues, relatives, neighbors, friends, or normal social relationships. The hatred I'm talking about is on a different level. You see, the killer's handling of the victim's body pays too much attention to every detail, not only carrying strong religious significance, but also having a kind of artistic, emotional expression similar to a sculptor.
The words you're saying I can understand individually, but when linked together, I'm confused.
Follow me.
At this point, Uncle Mason had already led everyone to carry the severely injured person outside. In the inner hall, for the moment, only Sylvan and Police Chief Duke remained. When the corpse under the stage was discovered, neither Police Chief Duke nor Sylvan didn't loudly announce it, so in the chaotic environment, others hadn't even found that there was a corpse that did not belong to this accidental incident. Sylvan went down from the stage, heading towards the seating area. Before it became a dance hall, this place was originally a theater in Luogia City. Therefore, the stage facing the audience, that is, the seating area, was stepped gradually upwards, getting higher towards the back, like the scene in an arena. Sylvan continued walking up and stopped when he reached the middle position. There was a very tall, small table, so small that it could only hold a few wine glasses with no chairs beside it. Unlike Uncle Mason, who had long since stopped frequenting this place, Ron was a regular at this dance hall. This area was also his main area because there was no seating fee here. A song is only 3 minutes long and 3 minutes cost 5 lu. Even though Ron's income was quite good, he spent it on many other things, so he couldn't spend freely. Most of the time he came here, he would buy a beer, constantly sipping, while looking around, admiring the scantily clad beauties. He would definitely wait until the most beautiful woman he liked appeared before inviting her to dance. After dancing, he would give the song fee to the dancer, then leave the stage, return to this spot, continue sipping that beer, slowly reminiscing, and slowly looking for the next dance partner. Ron recounted these things while sitting in the car on the way here. He was incredibly proud of himself for using the minimum cost to maximize his enjoyment. Chapter 36, Criminal Psychology 2. Sylvan turned back and said to Police Chief Duke behind him,
"Chief, please turn around."
All right.
Police Chief Duke turned to face the stage below. Sylvan's voice came from behind.
"Please, Chief, imagine. This place is no longer the scene of a stage collapse accident. The dance hall is operating normally now. You hear music playing with a lively rhythm. You see the lights gradually dimming. The guests have chosen their dance partners and are going up on stage. In the middle of the stage, hundreds of couples embrace and dance. Outside, there are also several couples dancing and interacting. Though their dance moves aren't perfect, they are very exciting. Inside, male customers and female dancers are pressed close together, hands sliding to sensitive areas, constantly caressing. You can feel the atmosphere overflowing with continuously secreted hormones on the stage. Everything before your eyes concentrates on expressing the essence of human desire, everyone pressing close to each other, relying on each other's bodies, tearing away the layers of disguise, finding pleasure in front of strangers. You look up at the glass stage, an even more stimulating scene. Morality, ethics, shyness, and so on are all thrown under the stage. Money and primal desires reign supreme. No more hesitation or shame. Everything is displayed on the two-tiered stage before your eyes.
Following each of Sylvan's sentences, a similar scene seemed to really appear before Police Chief Duke's eyes. Light and darkness, now beginning to interweave and transform.
Please, once again, look at the center of the stage, then gradually move downward, slowly, finally, falling to the bottom of the stage. Please tell me, what do you see?
Police Chief Duke replied,
A corpse with the Berry Bible placed on its chest, arranged and displayed in a particularly ironic posture.
So, please tell me, what is his posture?
Lying down,
Oh, is that so?
isn't it?
You're standing here now. Please look carefully again. Is he really lying down?
Police Chief Duke focused his eyes due to the height difference. As his conscious viewing angle continued to shift, he couldn't help but exclaim,
No, he's not lying down, he's standing, and the people dancing on the stage are lying down.
Suddenly, Police Chief Duke clenched his fists. He suddenly realized that this position was not that of an observer, but that of an enjoyer. Police Chief Duke slowly turned to the left. In his field of vision, a black figure seemed to appear, standing beside him. The corners of his mouth bore a smile, enjoying the scene before him. He is the killer. Police Chief Duke instinctively reached out, wanting to catch him. But the instant his hand touched, the black shadow dissipated, and with it, all the light and darkness around it restored the scene to its chaotic state in reality. There was no other sound except for his own slightly heavy breathing. Police Chief Duke turned his head to look at Sylvan and said,
That's someone who takes pleasure in killing. He's enjoying.
The problem became severe. The existence of a perverted serial killer could plunge the entire city of Luogia into crisis.
Actually, he doesn't feel like he's killing people. He's painting and thinks he's presenting a kind of art.
The Berry Church Bible, the flower pot on the belly, the middle finger, the naked corpse.
Police Chief Duke frowned slightly.
These things seem...
Chief, you want to say these things seem to have become unimportant, right?
Yes, that's exactly the feeling.
Because the visual image is already enough, these arrangements are all to fill in the details, to make the image more ritualistic.
So, regardless of whether it's the flower pot, the nailed fingers, or the Bible, investigating these things has no meaning. The killer isn't intentionally expressing anything but casually decorating. It's possible that the victim wasn't even a follower of the Berry Church.
Sylvan nodded and reminded,
But the Berry Church worships nature, and nature also includes primal desires.
Police Chief Duke.
That's right, some Berry followers like to organize intimate gathering parties. They see this behavior as an expression of closeness to nature, and this element fits with the scene on the stage. So the killer is not a member of the Berry Church, nor does he hate the Berry Church. What he hates and what represents the Berry Church are opposites.
Chief, you are right. There's no emotional release in the artwork. It's just a kind of casual application of exquisite things. The decoration of this corpse doesn't express the joy or hatred of the creator. It's just a kind of pleasure that can be easily changed. This corpse is an object substituting for the killer's position. The killer stands here, looking at everything before him and the object that stands there in his place. And the dancing couples on the stage are the objects of his hatred and mockery. He imagines himself standing there, while those men and women are lying down. He looks like a god looking down on all the dirty living beings. A kind of hatred that goes beyond normal meaning.
Police Chief Duke nodded and then shook his head.
I seem to have grasped something, but I have no clues. With such substitution, there might be no enmity between the killer and the victim. It could even be a very good relationship. Extremely intimate, because only in this way could the killer from the victim's body.
Sylvan smiled and continued.
Find the feeling of substitution.
Chapter 37. Criminal Psychology 3. Police Chief Duke tapped his pipe against his head, self-mockingly laughing.
Ha 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 ha.
Then he sighed in relief, saying,
I feel that everything you just said has no basis. It's all thoughts and fabrication, but somehow I feel what you're saying makes perfect sense.
I'm just fulfilling my responsibility as a good citizen to maintain the goodness and order of this city.
In the following investigation, I will focus attention on those close to the deceased. The closer they are, the more attention I'll pay.
Sylvan said nothing.
You're from the Inmarace family. What's your relationship with Mason?
I'm his nephew. He's my uncle.
Oh, so not a new employee. With such handsome looks, you don't need to work as a corpse handler to make money. You can stand there waiting for those ladies to spend money to invite you to dance. Ha ha.
Police Chief Duke laughed heartily at what he thought was humorous. Sylvan only responded with a polite smile. He had become somewhat used to it. This world always harbored malice towards people with beautiful appearances.
My name is Duke Marrow. You can call me Duke.
Sylvan Inmarace.
Sylvan, how old are you this year?
15 years old.
Tsk. Mason has quite a capable nephew. This is the first time I've heard such thinking while investigating a case.
Then another police officer approached.
If the case progresses... no, whether the case progresses or not, I'll come back to find you, Mint Street. Number 13, right?
That's right, Chief.
Police Chief Duke turned around, shouting to the newly arrived officer.
There's a murder victim's corpse under the hole in the middle of the stage. Protect the scene well. Contact the Bureau to request police reinforcements.
He continued walking down the stairs with his back to Sylvan, muttering,
A young man who thinks like a perverted killer.
After walking down a few steps, Police Chief Duke suddenly stopped and turned his head to look at Sylvan.
One more thing.
Please go ahead.
When I first examined the corpse, I found that the body had undergone a certain degree of decomposition treatment. Moreover, it's winter now, so the body won't rot during this time. The killer could have continued to enjoy the pleasure or hatred he created. Why did he choose to display the corpse early? I can understand his desire to show off his work, but I think he could have played for a while longer, right?
Sylvan looked at Police Chief Duke and answered,
Perhaps the killer has moved on to something new.
Police Chief Duke's pupils contracted slightly.
You mean the killer has found a new target?
No.
Ah,
Police Chief Duke sighed in relief. Sylvan continued,
Perhaps the killer is already enjoying his new work now.
Sylvan walked out of the dance hall and saw that 2 ambulances had arrived. Quite a few injured people were being put into the ambulances, and the chaotic scene from before had also restored a certain order. But what made Sylvan a bit embarrassed was that the modified hearse of the Inmaraes family had disappeared. Uncle Mason was such a diligent worker transporting customers that he hadn't noticed his nephew hadn't gotten in the car yet. With no other choice, Sylvan prepared to take a taxi home. Earlier, the reason he actively helped Duke describe criminal psychology wasn't because he was addicted to being a detective, but because he had an urgent need to socialize with the outside world. Although he didn't dare to run away from home now, it didn't stop him from preparing for future matters, such as getting to know more people. Playing dumb was unnecessary when there was still a grandfather at home considering whether to kill you or not. What was there to hide? At this moment, a taxi stopped in front of Sylvan. The driver was a man wearing a baseball cap with an aquiline nose and pointed chin. When Sylvan opened the door and sat in the car, he discovered that beside the back seat, there was a woman in a gray dress leaning her head against the window, sleeping soundly. The taxi driver turned back and called out loudly,
Madam, we've arrived.
The woman was awakened, opening the car door on her side to get out while muttering with some resentment.
The boss is really... The police station already said it was an accident. How could it have anything to do with secular demons? Yet still insisted I come here to take a look.
Sir, where would you like to go? Sir?
Sylvan answered in a daze.
Where are you going? You need to tell me the address so I can take you there.
Number 13 Mint Street.
All right?
The taxi started up. Sylvan silently clenched his left hand and slowly opened it, looking at the cross-shaped burn scar left on it. She just said, "Secular demon?" At this moment, Sylvan suddenly felt uneasy and frightened. The outside world, it seemed, wasn't as beautiful as that. This is the end of today's story. Please like and subscribe to support the channel and follow the next developments. Thank you.